musicology. We're studying all kinds of modern music.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool class. But I just thought that I'd write my paper on you because I've been studying your music for a couple of years now.
Sounds interesting.
And yeah, I figured I could get some insight. Originally, I was going to write it on Colonel Foreman's and Five Famous Mockingbird.
That was my senior thesis.
Right. But basically, why don't we just start? My first question is if you could just briefly outline your musical career. Not really.
Okay.
Just like
briefly? I guess I can. I mean, I've been really into music my whole life. So, starting with, drum lessons when I was like 6 or something, or 7, or 8. That's when I think I first actually started taking drum lessons around 5th grade, and I played drums for years, and I did like Glee Club and choir and madrigal singers. I was in this madrigal singing group that used to travel around, and I did a lot of plays, and that kind of thing, and then went to UVM. I was a music major at UVM, and I didn't really like it there, but it helped, to get the basics. And then I transferred to Goddard. I wanted to study with a composer, so I found this guy, Trey Anastasio, and started studying with him, and got credit through Goddard to study composition. And that's where I started learning about, a lot of different kinds of music and what I had listened to. Earlier jazz and classical kind of stuff. And how to write theme and variation kind of things. Composition, and then it just kind of all blended into the band. Just trying to pick up a little bit everywhere.
Okay. That goes right into my next question. How did you hook up with everyone?
In the band?
Yeah. Did you
that
search
was
for them?
not that hard. I mean, I did. Yeah, I put him a sign. It was kind of a coincidence. Paige found his way into the band. He heard us and wanted to play with us, and we didn't really. I mean, I didn't really want him in the band. Having not even heard him, I was just set on the band the way it was.
With the other guitar player,
And Mike really wanted to have a keyboard player. He works just kind of ended up showing up at gigs and playing. Next thing you know, he's in the band, which ended up being, a blessing.
Yeah. So for you and Mike and John, you were pretty much set. You just kind of hooked up.
Well, yeah, Phish I bumped into on campus and always thought he was a funny looking guy. And then Mike answered a sign that said, looking, rock band, looking for a bass player, kind of thing. And
you lucked out.
Yeah, we lucked out. But I mean, a lot of it, we weren't really that good. And I'm not saying that we're that good now, but if whatever goodness we are now, it's not like, so I mean, a lot of the stuff was learned as a group, which makes me just think that I think people give up too fast and they say, I'm trying to start a band, but I can't find the right people. I guess if their attitude is wrong, you're screwed. But if their talent isn't there, but the attitude is there.
Yeah?
Here you are.
Who are you calling?
The attitude is there, but the talent isn't there.
I mean, you can work with it.
You can work with it, I think. I mean, that's definitely the case with any band. Talent is like, if you put, I think what we do a lot of stuff together that like in terms of individual, I think the sum of the parts is better. The sum is better than the individual parts. And a lot of it's because we practiced a lot together, and we practiced jamming together, and tried to break a lot of new boundaries, tried to write a lot of things into songs that we couldn't play. Tried to learn different styles of music,
How did you know when you had the right people? How did you finally decide this is it? It was obvious.
There was never, well, I mean, there were other bands that I tried out with that I didn't like. The first day that we got together, we had a big jam, and we had a really great experience jamming, and that was it. I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. It's like I was saying before, I don't think, I don't know, we just kind of, that's who was there, and we started playing, and then we had to deal with a lot of problems along the way about some people wanted to do some things. I mean, in the beginning, Mike would say, I hate jazz, and I don't want to be weird and different. I want to be, his favorite bands at the time, he wanted to be able to do straight kind of rock and roll. and then he would, 4 years later, suddenly you realize that he's the one doing this, and we're the ones trying to get, there's always, to this day, arguments in the band about direction on the songs. Somebody will want to do a song, everybody else say, I don't like that, it sounds stupid, and that kind of thing. So, it's just like a marriage or something. It really is absolutely the same thing, as far as I'm concerned. It's like, when do you realize that you have the right person? Well, I don't think, personally, I don't believe that the thing where you find this perfect person. Maybe it happens in like fairy tales or something, but I think marriage is about deciding that you want to be married and learning to accept somebody with their faults and everything, And so, if you've got really huge personality differences, they'll never get over it, and that's that. I guess we're just lucky.
Yeah. Do you remember when you finally decided that music was it for you? Was that early?
I think that really, I can say, I think that there's people that are into music that I can't imagine myself ever having. For a long time I was kind of in a state of denial because everybody was telling me, oh, you can't do that. But all through that time, all I was doing, I was focusing all my energy on music.
Right.
There's people who maybe, you're one, I don't know, but who just, that's all they, it's like you couldn't ever do anything else anyway. And if you have to work, for the many years that I had to work at the same time, I just got a job that the least amount of hours that I had to work, to pay the rent. And then, so, I always knew I wanted to be into music even when I was like really young, because I always did it on all my free time. My friends used to write songs like all the time, and everything. So.
Do you think it was difficult to make a living being a musician?
Yeah, I think it's. I was having a conversation with my girlfriend about this last night. Just I don't know. Kind of what's fair in life and what's not just about musicians, but people have to work on an assembly line. Is it sort of a dehumanizing thing where they're not allowed to be creative and there's not enough time in the day because you work all day and you're tired and you want to take care of the kids, and then just get into this cycle and you aren't able to use the part of you that's human, that's not just and so, in terms of it being hard, there's lots of musicians that I always think about. It's really interesting that, to me, there's thousands, millions of musicians who are great, better than me, but can't really make any money off it, purely because of the style they play isn't really a marketable style. Yeah. Like
So
that guy that sat in with us last night, Yeah. All the way downstairs? Okay. He's an incredible bluegrass musician. He makes a living by playing with a bunch of bands, but not, he's not doing that well. He's incredible.
Yeah.
There's millions of people like that. So, we were lucky, I don't know. Also, we were young and we were willing to do a lot of things that certain people weren't willing to do, like, travel a lot and sleep on floors and keep going back into markets and playing over and over and over again until.
What would you have done differently?
What would I have done differently?
If anything.
I might have. I probably would have learned guitar more. I know two things I would have done differently. I would have taken voice lessons all along. Definitely.
Yeah.
That is something that I regret not having. There's only so much time, There's only so much shit you can focus on. And my main focus was writing music. That's the way I look at it.
Right.
I never really considered myself a guitar player as much as I do a songwriter, That's where, if I've got a free night, which I never have anymore, by the way, but if I do, and I go into my room and just be alone and do the things that I love to do, inevitably practicing the guitar seems like more of the chore, and writing music is more of the escape. So whenever I sit down and practice the guitar, I always end up writing a song. I think that's the most fun thing.
That's great.
Yeah. So that is my main. I think that's where my main talent lies, and I think if I had done it over, I probably would have trained my voice and been a singer. Because I don't really think of myself as a singer. And then I realized that I lead sing for 3 straight hours, and I never really put much effort. I mean, we are trying to now more, but you know, if you start when you're young and you train how to use your body and use your voice the right way, that'll last for many years. That's what I would have done differently, and maybe I should right now.
Did you feel like you didn't have the voice for it when you were young?
No, I did. That's the thing. The thing is, when I was young, I did. I had a better voice, in a way. I used to have a really good voice. I used to sing in, like I said,
That's right.
groups that traveled around and stuff, and I used to think, man, I have a good voice. And I don't necessarily think that now. I think it's like kind of gone because it hasn't been trained.
Yeah.
Everybody.
You've been working it so hard.
I work it hard and I don't work it the right way. I don't warm up the right way and I don't know about. It's just like playing the guitar. It's like you get bad habits and then you drill the bad habits and you never have a coach who say. So that's what I would have done differently.
How do you feel about school versus experience as a teacher?
As a teacher?
Yeah, like to learn to become what you become.
How do I feel about like advising someone to either go to school or experience real life?
I guess, yeah.
I think that it's got to have a happy medium. I think that people who think that learning more about theory in big quotes and, you know, reading and things like that, some people think that that's going to like take away from their raw coolness, you know? And I just don't believe that at all.
You gotta do both.
I think that you gotta do what you want. I mean, I like Nirvana, you know? They just were playing that CD downstairs and
I think he's an amazing songwriter.
yeah, they don't, you know, he doesn't read or and that's fine. But one of the things it's done for us, I think, it just, to me, it's like, I feel the same way about any subject. It's just, reading it and theory are there for people take it from the wrong side. They think you have to learn theory in order to, you know, to make music, and that's totally wrong. As far as I'm concerned, music just comes out of you. Now, if you happen to know some things that you learned in school, it's easier to get it out.
Right.
That's the thing, and that's all there is to it. I mean, I know a lot about theory, and I know how to read, and I studied, I went to school, I can compose, you know, on a piano with a pencil, and I do a lot of stuff. Everybody in the band can. The last song I wrote is a song called Axilla that we're probably going to do tonight, and it's just this, it sounds like Nirvana or something. It's like one chord, you know, it's this rock. I love that kind of music.
Right.
It doesn't keep you from doing that, you know?
Right.
But if I want to write an atonal fugue that really takes you places, and I know about how harmony works, I know about how to lead someone up a path, you know, by taking their ear to a certain tonal center and bringing them back. I mean, I know about that. There's ways that you do that. There's Beethoven and people like that who can write a 30-minute long piece that's just beautiful and makes you cry and you listen to the whole time. They studied how music, the weight of music leads you certain ways, and you learn things. The writing is just a tool, because certain kinds of music you couldn't just tell somebody, like the Ass Festival or that, you know, or All Things Reconsidered, which is going to be on the next album. You can't, there's no way to do that except to write it. Because it's 4 parts that have to work on a vertical and a horizontal plane, harmonically at any moment in time, and also as a flow.
It doesn't just happen.
No, you can't. It doesn't, no, you've got to sit down and compose that at a piano. It's just, you can't write a fugue any other way. You got to just get to know a pencil on paper or forget it. I mean, nobody has that kind of memory. I suppose you could. You couldn't even do it with a 4-track. I mean, it would be harder with a 4-track and more effort than it would to just sit down and write it. So, but the other thing that happened in school that I really liked was that we did stuff like, when I was a music major at UVM, we did stuff like solfège singing.
Yep. I've done all that.
Which is really good. I mean,
yeah,
it's great for your voice.
Did you use the movable though?
Movable, yeah. You mean when we like modulating and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that stuff. It was incredible. I mean, great for your voice. I was singing better then. We used to do it every morning, probably the same as you did like in theory class. Yeah. They, you know, give you a C and then sing this. Incredible for musicianship.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
you learn about that. Yeah, you learn about intervals and stuff. I mean, it just trains your mind to be able to know what a third sounds like. And then when you have a melody in your head, you can play it on the guitar because you know where a third is on the guitar. You know, it keeps you from playing, that kind of stuff keeps you from just different scales.
Right.
So I mean, it all. I think you need both.
Do you agree with the statement? It is the artist's responsibility to make a statement about today's society with their art.
It's the artist's responsibility. I don't think I agree with that.
Okay.
But I think I might say that it happens anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I might say something like the artist makes a statement about today's society with their art without even trying, because they're a part of the society. And I don't think it's really. I like to think that it's not the artist's responsibility to do anything, because the other thing in the what was the thing? Something I read today. Andrew was saying, some quote, if you listen to people's opinions or something, then you're enslaved to them. I mean, that basic idea, that if you listen to what people say, if you care about people's praise and stuff like that, then you're that person's slave. So, by saying it's your responsibility to the audience or to the viewer of the art or something, then I like to think that, I mean, obviously we think about doing stuff that will make for a good show, and there's a happy medium between that, but if you're not doing it because you like it, it's going to sound like that. Yeah, it's going to sound like you're trying to please people. I mean, I don't know.
How do you record your ideas when you get inspired?
You know, every different way. I mean, like I said, it just depends on what kind of an idea it is.
Okay.
If it's a song idea, just like a 3-chord song, I can even just remember it. I'll sing it, and oftentimes I'll sing it into a tape deck.
Yeah.
Just to say that, because I do forget things pretty fast. Or I have a 4-track, which I use for harmony ideas, like singing harmony ideas and stuff like that.
Right.
Or if it's more complicated than that, I might write down like a chord chart. And if it's more complicated than that, I'll write it, in traditional nomenclature, or whatever. So, every different way.
Do you see yourself working on any other projects outside of Phish in the future?
Yeah, and I haven't had a moment
I wouldn't imagine you
to
would.
do. I mean, we have been working at an unbelievable rate, and we're at this at 15 hours a day, really. We were just doing this new album. We worked for 8 weeks. We were going from 10 in the morning till 1, and then we had like 6 days off, and we practiced every one of those days. So we didn't even take a single day off. And finally, in the middle, we were all like about to die, so we just took 1 day off in the middle. We took a Sunday off, and then now we're back on tour. I would love to do an album with my friend Tom, who's our lyricist.
Yeah.
Which would be a really different kind of thing than Phish. I think it would just be like 2-minute songs.
Yeah.
Funny, we have all these songs that don't make it into the Phish repertoire because a lot of them because they're sort of too extreme. I don't know that everybody would like this album. I mean, if you listen to the lyric, you know how some of his lyrics can be. A lot of the stuff we write together. I mean, it's like that, but grosser and weirder,
Right.
and really short songs, a lot of them.
Yeah.
I just always thought that would be fun to do an album with him. Also, I wanted to do this game hinge thing. I want to do that with Phish.
Right.
Game hinge thing with possibly with an interactive CD or CDI or something. But plus, I'd like to do, and there's a lot of stuff I'd like to do. I'd like to write for an orchestra, or a string quartet or something. But it's just there's not enough time. I mean, really, you can only do so much, unfortunately. And then again, I guess some people. The problem is that the business aspect of the band has become very, very time-consuming. I mean, in order to get an album out, you've got just as much work concentrating on the album cover, credits. We've got this next album that's coming out. It's going to really involve. We had a very lofty concept for the packaging and the way it was going to work. Like we had this oil painter do a 6-foot painting with references to all the songs. Like the whole album is supposed to be a dream, like in the space of one night of dreaming, and all the songs are interrelated about what they're about, and they go in the space of like the REM sleep of a night where he wakes up in the morning and it's the last song. And
Yeah.
the album the cover had to be, we found this incredible oil painter, but I mean, he's in New York, we're in Nashville, faxing things back and forth all the time, trying to get, like, we wanted to have close-ups of the album cover, so all the lyrics were actually interspersed into the album cover as bits and pieces in this guy's room. He's dreaming, and he's writing his journal, and there's like a crumpled up letter to his girlfriend on the floor that has the lyrics to one song on it. So all the lyrics it's not like lyrics, they're actual things that either describe his state of mind or were things that, this is one song we do call It's Ice.
Right.
That one is about, that's the part where he's having a battle with himself. So he's skating on the ice and his mirror image is battling with him, trying to drag him under the ice.
Right.
So in the room we had a mirror, right, like on the wall. And we had like a guy from the netherworld had come up and written the lyrics in mirror writing because it was on the other side. So in order to read the lyrics, you actually have to hold to It's Ice. You hold it up to the mirror,
Yeah.
you know, and you can read the lyrics because it's supposed to be the guy, you know, all this shit.
Yeah.
So I mean, that ended up being almost as big a project as making an album, and then mixing the album, and then dealing with a record company, and then I mean, so sometimes it's a little disillusioning.
Do you expect it to thin out over the years?
I don't know if it can or not. I think maybe it's a question of delegating responsibility, but if you want to be involved in every aspect, I mean, personally, I'm the one who ends up doing all this shit.
I noticed out there you're telling them where the drum riser goes.
Yeah, because, you know, I gotta be up there on stage, and I want it to look good. I want people to see, like, I also had Phish take away one of his drums from his drum set, or We'd Me and Page, because you couldn't see him. I mean, it was like this triangle, I mean, you could not see him at all for a period, last tour or something. And I just thought, these people are paying like $25 to come see this concert. They can't even
from
see
the
him.
audience?
From the audience, yeah, I could see him. Fine.
Right.
But I see him all the time.
Yeah,
It was that red drum that used to be in front of his face.
Yeah.
So he got rid of it. But I don't know, I mean, like the stage setup, you know, we spent a whole day working on that. It's a new setup for us.
Oh, yeah.
It's a slightly new setup, so I want. What's
A
that?
new guitar rig.
Yeah, I got a new rig. Paige has some new stuff. Everything's just wider. It's bigger. So there's all this shit to think about. And then the tour's going on. I mean, how are we gonna meetings? You know, publishing. You know, meeting with it. It's just really, it's amazing. I mean, the organization is something like 12 people or something working for us. I mean, it's just a lot of people. We've got a lawyer, an accountant. We've got a manager and an assistant. We've got 6 crew. These people are all on salary year round. Actually, a couple of them aren't, but most of them are. Health benefits, everything, you know. You've got this very complicated, and this is shit that people don't usually talk about because you want to keep, you know, with a band, like there's this image of, you know, oh, we're just floating around, you know. I mean, it's a business. It's a small business. That's what it is. And if you don't have anybody working for you that knows about business, you're in big trouble. Believe me. I mean, it's not an idealistic world, and that's great because we still have managed to keep it. We really have managed to keep it a family operation. Everybody's ground together. But, you know, like for instance, Phish is 2 corporations and a partnership. Different kinds of financial income. This is stuff I don't usually talk about. It's boring to people, and, you know, and also it's like, I suppose, it's just a big operation. And you've got, and any band is, you know, if you think about what it takes to get a semi and 2 tour buses full of equipment from one, you know, through 23 different cities, or in 25 nights, which is what we're doing. Every night, 300 miles apart, booking all those hotels, having food for everybody. The crew has to get there six hours before the show. They leave 3 hours later, they sleep on the bus, you know what I mean? Organizational, it's incredible. But so, like I said, I don't want to get, I think a lot of bands, you know, when I think about the bands that manage to keep control of everything, like Jane's Addiction or something. The guy was, you know, Perry Farrell was doing the album cover art. He was doing the music. He was doing, when you got a Jane's Addiction album, to me it was obvious that it wasn't just a lot of bands that just have some graphic artists do the album cover, you know? But we want to keep it. So if you're going to do that, you end up sacrificing, you know, there's only so many hours in the day, and if you want to be a musician, you either delegate responsibilities or you keep writing music. And if you want to be writing music, I mean, touring, you can't write music when you're touring. Really, I can't. I mean, I could sort of write some songs, but it's too tiring to write. So it's always a give and take.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got on this subject, but...
Well, we were talking about working on projects outside Phish.
Oh, right, well that,
it's just so much.
That's a dream. The only way that would happen is if we actually took a major period of time off from Phish at some point. But,
well, I have 3 really small questions.
okay, maybe I should go eat.
Do you have a personal practice schedule? do you get to practice?
These days, well, we have a band practice schedule where we practice a few hours a day, you know, when we're home whenever we can, but we haven't been home much lately. You're catching me I don't really have a personal practice schedule right now. This is why when you asked me what I would do over again.
Right.
My best advice in that area and what I would do over again, I'm glad that I learned what I did when I had more time about guitar playing and music. I mean, I really am. Because my advice to people is when you have the chance and your band is younger and you're not touring much, practice your fucking ass off, which is what we did. We really practiced hard as a band. I mean, we practiced as hard as I don't think there's ever been a band that, maybe, that had a practice schedule like we used to have.
Yeah.
And we practiced every day for like 5, 6, 7 hours for a while there, doing listening exercises and stuff. I mean, the 4 of us in band practice.
You guys must have all really wanted to do it.
Yeah.
All together.
So I mean, that was something that now is paying off because we're getting more years of connect. You know, we somehow did, because now it's harder and harder to find that time with all these other projects going on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, back then I used to have this dream of, boy, what if we could put an album out every year? We used to go like 2.5 years before we could raise enough money to put an album. And that's the thing about signing with a label. Suddenly you've got somebody throwing you money for the albums.
Yeah.
So that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
So right now my practice schedule is try to warm up before the gigs as much as I can, and to try to do something to learn something new whenever I can. I think lately it's been doing things like going through the list of all the Beatles songs and just playing the melody.
Yeah.
Just saying, you know. Next song. Just so, I mean, I haven't been doing it enough. I wish I was doing it every day for an hour. I mean, you wouldn't believe how much that helps.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's like the best thing you can do. I mean, it's amazing how many guitar players there are. I mean, other instrumentalists, it's not true. Like, I bet most trumpet players and stuff, you can say, play me the theme song to Bewitched or something, and they'll play it. The guitar players, guitar players just know riffs.
Yeah.
They know patterns that are disjointed from actual music coming out of your head. The best way you can break out of that is to play little TV themes and stuff.
Yeah, I've heard that. Do you wear earplugs?
That's a good question. I do when I'm at every concert except a Phish concert. And I do when they're cranking the music when I'm walking around. I can't deal with it on stage. So I hope I'm not losing hearing. I might be losing a little bit. It's pretty loud up there, but we're trying to keep it. Right, it's the new setup is helping me because we spread out and I was getting blasted by everybody except me. Now we're spread out. Paige is having a hard time right now with the volume because he's got this side fill. This is the issues this is what we spent all day talking about today. Move the stage around so that he's not getting cranked by the side fill and stuff like that.
I think it's amazing that you guys can do all that and still stay in a band and not get on each other's backs.
It's amazing. I mean, we spent our whole lives together.
That is amazing.
9 years we've been together, like so much more than with my girlfriend and stuff. I mean, so like all the time. Like for the next 25 days, we'll be together, like all day and all night.
Are girlfriends a problem for you guys? Trying to spend too much time with them, or
With my girlfriend?
do they?
Well, not people are, I think it's been a problem with, I think it's been a problem with, yeah, I mean, it's hard, it's really hard. I seem to be
the band takes too much of your time,
Yeah, well, it's just that we're never home, too. I think that that's good. I think that I may be having sort of more fun right now than the other guys. Simply because they're doing fine too. Like, Paige is still in New York. Like,
appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. All right.
For a sound check after dinner?
I think so. Good luck to
You think
you.
it would be okay for me to stick
Yeah.
around?
I think it would be a problem.
Listen to it? Alrighty.
I'm just gonna grab some food.